Yeah.
Yeah, I can see your screen, Jens Peter.
Very good. You can just say Jens. Most people only say Jens. That's fine with me, right? So
Okay.
we favor this, okay.
Sure.
And so I already popped it open, all right. And,
I have already
oh,
some guests there. Hi, Adrian.
hi, Ariane. Good day.
Yeah, you are muted now, and we will ask everyone to be muted while the presentation will be going. Soon, in a few minutes, I will start sharing some ideas for the start.
Right.
So let's wait. You have some time to grab your coffee.
Yeah, sure. And you, Olga, you're going to do a short introduction, right?
Yes, it
right.
will be for 5 minutes while we'll be waiting, while people are gathering, and I will also set some rules. Probably that's it.
And we have about 30 minutes, right?
Yes.
All right, okay. I like your backdrop. Oh, that's nice. No, your backdrop, you know, here they are.
Yeah. Just a little bit on my face also.
Katja, you should change your background too, huh?
When I change my background, I'm totally like I'm covered by the background.
Yeah.
Too much light on my face. Mm-hmm.
But if it's making my teeth white, I don't mind.
All right.
So
today is the first day of the SAFE Summit.
Yeah, I'm thrilled.
It's quite amazing how well these virtual conferences are running and working, right? So last week I attended here the web show of ServiceNow. And usually they have over in Orlando, they have about 25,000 participants. Of course, all the people who fly into Orlando, right? Which is a lot of effort. And then they say it raised the attendance to more than 1 million people globally. And they're having people attending one of their sessions. I guess they're running 500 sessions in parallel, right? So they have people from 156 countries, and they have over 1 million people who are joining one of their sessions. So that's really an increase, right, from 25,000 on the ground to 1 million through the web. And this is, we see an explosion, right? So by the way that we are going to digitizing here events like this. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, that's so true. I see that people start joining already.
All right, even some people I know. Oh, hello. If that's the right one, I can't see the picture. Robert Seebauer just joined. I might be, I know you.
It's right, yeah.
Hi. Hi, nice meeting you here. Great.
Yeah.
How did you find us? How did you find us?
Oh, well, I'm as you know, I'm an old SAFE member, and
Yes,
I looked at the summit and saw that there are still conferences besides the summit.
Yes.
And I know see your picture and that I know the guy.
Thanks for joining, right? Thanks for joining. Great. So we did an Agile project together. That was about 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And well, this is still running, right? And this is still growing from that project from back that time.
Oh yeah, I ended Porsche at the time.
Okay. Oh, you changed to Porsche? Okay. Well, very good. Yeah.
Huh?
Okay. I'm doing Agile projects now for the Rebbe Group in Cologne.
Yeah.
So I can talk a little bit about that one, right? So great.
All right, guys. So I will start a little. My name is Olga, and I will be assisting Jens today. How are you doing? Hope you're doing great. By the way, in the guests, in the bottom of the page, you can see the reactions tab, and you can show me your mood. Yep, Robert, thank you. Happy to see. Good. Just behind the reactions tab, of course, you know that there is a chat tab.
Yes.
We are going to use it for communication today. if you have a question during the presentation, please write it in the chat section and we will discuss it during the Q&A session that we will have afterwards. It's also a good idea to be on mute while the speaker is presenting, so we are not in the way with our noises here, right? Also, I would like to ask you, I will share in the chat just to check it. The topic of our session, just a sec. Yes. Also, a few rules that I have just outlined so that when we start, the people can read it as well. Okay. Right. And while we are waiting for other people to come, I'd like to ask you to do a little thing. After the summit, we'd be happy to share with you the highlights of the event and also the presentation of Jens Peter. And to receive those, please open the link that you will now see in the chat. There are 3 short questions there. It will not take more than 30 seconds to fill them out. But this way, we'll be in touch and we'll share some valuable information with you. Good. For those who, do we have someone new? Adrian. Let's maybe, Jens, wait another minute or 2 before we start. Yeah?
Sure.
Good. I can see your screen, so everything is good. So we have another minute or 2 to grab some water or something sweet before we start. Good, I see some new people joining. So far, while we haven't started, I'm Olga. I will be assisting Jens Peter during the session today. And let me remind you a few rules. Please stay muted while the presentation is going on. Afterwards, we will be able to unmute yourself, ask your questions, and hear your question. Also, please follow the link you see in the chat so we could share with you the highlights of the summit when it's over, some valuable learnings and new ideas of the event, and also the presentation of the speaker. Do you think, Jens, we need another minute so we can start little by little?
Let's get started because we only have 30 minutes and we do this for all the people who are already attending. So just go ahead, Olga.
So you are going to start now, right?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm giving the word to you.
All right. Okay. So, well, thanks, Olga, for organizing the session. And a quick introduction from my side. My name is Jens, or Jens Peter Labus, full name. I'm in the IT business, I don't know, since decades, at least since 20 years. And I'm running Agile projects at least since 10 years. And to give you a short overview of my activities, I started out with about 3 Agile teams about 3 years ago, 10 years ago. And then we scaled that up in projects to becoming bigger and bigger. that we did, I did with Markt Saturn in Ingolstadt, Germany. And 2 years ago, I formed my own company, which is called Labus Digital. And now I'm consulting other companies on a lot of IT projects. But the core activity I'm doing is Agile at scale, right? And a little private background. I'm a family father. I've raised 4 kids. Most of them are now at university. And when you're raising kids, of course, games are always an important part of their life, right? And of family life. And you know, when people are playing games and when kids are playing games, they are kind of trying out processes, what they're going to do then later in adult life at large, so to say. And you know, games are always a simulation of adult life, right? And games are a perfect way of learning new behaviors, of learning, say, how to behave in social situations, right? Because a lot of games are played in groups, right? If you think of card games, sport games, things like that, right? And when you do a lot of games in your life, you can find out what are kind of these games are attracting yourself or are attractive for yourself, right? And this thing is all about feeling, right? So how does it feel? Do I feel well? Do I want to repeat this experience, right? This is important in gaming. And we all know that people can get lost in games, right? In computer games, in card games, right? Some people play games for the whole night, right? Because they feel well. It gives them something. It's rewarding, right? And it's inspiring. And that's how I see games. It's an awesome way to experience concepts, right? And when you talk with managers about why an organization should become agile, we are all using the other part of the brain. We are all talking about rational concepts. You know, we need to be more agile. We need to be more adaptive and all these things because we have to respond to disruptions like we are seeing now with the Corona crisis and so on. And this is all true, right? It's all right, but it doesn't feel okay. It's just a rational concept, and people, well, some managers, you know, they reject these ideas and say, well, agile, that has to do with a lot of this anarchy. We all need these prejudices, right? And so I say, why don't we make a simulation, right? That's a term I usually use when I work with managers, right? I more like the word simulation, but I don't only do this on purpose for, say, talking with them. Because when with a top executive in a company who is responsible, say, for hundreds, millions of revenue or billions of revenues, and he's a manager of, say, 100,000 people, people in this strata, they don't play games, right? They see it as a waste of time, right? Games are something for the kids, okay? And I have kids at home, they play games, right? You don't want me to play a game, right? And that's why I say, no, I want to simulate it, right? I want to recreate this experience in a nutshell, all right? And this is how I usually win them over and say, well, let's do a simulation, right? How does it feel, okay? And because we only have a very limited time, I only want to present you 3 of my favorite games. And of course, I want to initiate a conversation with all of you. What is your experience with playing Agile games? Because I'm always looking out for new ideas on games we could play. Right. This one you might know, a coin game, right? We do usually two passes. When we have time, we can do even more, right? And we say the first time we do a waterfall coin game, right? Where on every station we have to go through all the steps, right? In a traditional way. Like, for example, when we're saying the first one is a business analyst, the second one is a coder, and the third one is a tester, right? That would be a typical setup, right? And then we flip over the coins when we have 30 to 50 coins on the table, right? And that leads to a batch delivery at the end, right? In the first place, because we can only deliver the whole batch, right? And we all can relate to IT projects where the first value was delivered after 3 years of implementation and testing, right? Not so in the Agile mode, right? In the Agile mode, the first delivery is very fast after 3 seconds in this example, right? And the last one is faster in than the whole batch in the traditional way, right? And I always put the most senior manager in a game, in a setting like this, on the receiving end. So the most senior manager in my setup, he's not a participant, but he is a receiver of the value. So I place him on the top side of the table, right? Where, you know, top executives feel well, because this is a natural position, right? Where they can see what their people are doing in the old way, their resources, right? And then I ask a manager, how does it feel? And he says, well, that felt way better. And then I say to the team, it feels way better, then why don't we work that way, right? Why do we work then with big designs up front and deliver value only after 3 years if we can do the agile way? Because the manager who is responsible for all that and who has to approve that we work agile, he's feeling better. And you can really see him smiling, right? And this is where the commitment comes, where the buying comes, right? So this is one of my favorite staples. Has any one of you played the coin game? Anyone wants to reflect on my lines? Robert,
yeah, several times. Yeah.
You played it, all right?
It's,
okay.
Yeah, with coins or with sheets of paper or with coffee cups.
Yes.
And yeah, it always works fine. Yeah, and it's one little game to open up the eyes of the managers.
And do you try to make the top manager participate in these games?
Yeah, it would be the best you can do to involve the top management, because they had to see, they had to understand.
Yeah, exactly, right. And that's why you say see, right? Seeing is believing. This is very good, right?
Yeah.
But when you feel something, and you know, you feel it with your body, right? It's kind of goosebumps, you know. When you can create goosebumps, you know, this is what makes people believe, right? And well, there's a better way of working, right? That really feels better. Let's recreate it. Let's set up the processes in such a way that we can act like this as an organization at large. Okay.
Yeah, totally agree.
All right, very good. So that's my first one. I want to present, not necessarily in this sequence, right? That's a coin game. The second game I want to present here is a Kanban ship flow, right? And the Kanban ship flow, we need some more people who moderate that, right? So usually we have about 2 to 3 coaches in the room, because there's a lot of organizational activities going on, like folding here these pieces of paper into ships. And we have different setups, like, for example, that after the 50th ship, we include a blue sheet of paper or a red sheet of paper. So there are variations, right? But the core thing is that we put the manager now in the pushing end, right? And the pushing end, you just have to make the team work faster, okay? You push them, like this is what managers do, right? They always try to run around and command and control and all that, okay? And they try to exert pressure on the team, okay? Work faster, okay? And that usually works with the first, say, resource, right? With the first step, right? Where he tries to make the first fold, and then he moves on to make the second, and so on. And then they see from their perspective that not much happens and not much of these ships is created through the process, right? And then, of course, after a certain time, say after 5 minutes, something like that, the clock stops, right? We say the iteration is at the end, stop it, okay? And then we look at how much is still on the table, right? And all that which is on the table is unfinished product. And so from an agile mindset, this is all waste. This is all muda, okay? This is all human activities which has led to nothing. Because in the next sprint, we might have new priorities, right? And this is due to the behavior of the command and control manager to try to push as much down as possible down the line, but only if you make this motion stop, right? They can see and feel what they have achieved, and that is only little results and a lot of waste. Okay, and then we tried a new And then we say, now this time we work with a WIP limit, with a work in process limit, okay? This is by doing it that you're not going to push them, right? This is not what a manager is doing. You have to look in the line and identify the bottlenecks, where you can split the work, where you can put in a new role and so on. But the core thing in the second thing is that the people along the working line, they are pulling their activities. And that's a big difference, right? And this is not what managers like to do, right? They like to push people around. And now suddenly people are self-organized and say, you can take the next step of work once you're ready, right? And then we see suddenly that the throughput in this flow is dramatically increasing, and that at the end of the sprint, there is no waste on the table. And everyone is more lucky, and everyone is feeling way better, right? So that is the insight from the Kanban ship flow game. Anyone who wants to reflect on this one? Ever played? Anyone has ever played the ship flow game? No? Okay. Give it a try. Okay. I've included links for you from which I collected from YouTube. Okay. So you can there when you click on the YouTube video, you can find the simulation say going on for 10 minutes. Okay. So take your inspiration from that and say, okay, let's try it out in my organization, how we can do that, and just do it. You know, it's big fun. You know. And it gives people a great insight about the differences between a pull organization and a push organization, right? So a hierarchical, traditional organization is always a push organization, right? And an agile organization, it always should be a pull organization, where people are self-organizing according to their capabilities, right? And then they perform as a team way better than a classical hierarchical organization. Okay, so that's the second thing. And the third thing I like the most, right? This is a boss worker game, okay? Because bosses always want to control their resources, right? In this context, we can talk this way, okay? I never would talk to a senior manager that way, right? Because they're doing very important work for the organizations. They have needed, say, 10, 20, 30 years to reach that particular position. And of course, this habit of senior executives is deeply ingrained, right? And if you mock them, well, you lose them as a client, right? We should never do that. So this is more a game where a senior manager can observe what's happening, but he should not take part, right? But I try to make him think about that one. So I usually try to play this game just with, say, normal people, right? And the manager is looking from the sidelines, right, on what's going on. And when I'm now talking to, say, normal people, I put them in a position of managers. And at the beginning, it always feels, well, yeah, you are now the manager because you are going to control the resources on the other side of the table, right? And those resources we have, they are, say, skilled individuals, but for our game here or simulation, we have reduced their skills to only 4 skills they have brought with them. So they only can move forward, backward, to the left, and to the right, always one step, right? And now it's a role for the managers to command the resources always for the next step, okay? But you are the managers, you always control one resource. And you, of course, have to make sure that they do not collide, right? That they do not run out of the room and stuff like that, okay? And of course, because you're the managers, you have to do the counting, right? You have to count the efficiency of the resources, okay? And then we start, right? And then we just go it for 1 minute or 2, okay? And it's always big fun, right? Because all these managers, now they control and say, forward, backward, left, right, left. And you know, it feels military, right? Because in this very moment, they all behave like being officers in an army, right? Where of course the whole thing of resources is coming from, right? This is military management style, okay? But that has nothing to do on how we work with knowledge workers, because knowledge workers, they don't want to be pushed around, right? They usually know more about the subject than their superiors and their bosses. We still have in an agile organization, of course, right? And then we do the counting. And then we are making a guess on what is going to happen if now we change the sites. And now suddenly the resources, the people, they say, okay, I'm going to be a manager now, right? Yes, okay, you're going to be a manager, but now in a new mode, right? Because now the people in the agile game, they're self-organizing, okay? Because we believe in the capability of the individual that he control his four moves, which we have allowed by himself, right? So everyone is laughing, okay? Because everyone can control his own steps, right? And say, well, of course, we believe in the group work, that they're not going to collide, that they're not going to roll over the floor, that they're not going to jump out of the window or whatever, right? So there's a good laugh in the room, okay? And then we let the simulation roll, then everything is quiet, okay? Because if you don't have a control, right, no one is shouting. Okay, so the atmosphere is changing completely, right? It's very quiet. You're only hearing the steps. People are moving. You're seeing that they're moving way more quickly than when they're being controlled by managers. And at the end, of course, the throughput is way higher than in the control mode. Okay, so that's the first level of feeling. Okay, and then comes the harsh insight. And this really hurts when we are then entering the discussion now. What have you felt on the manager side? And they say, then one says, well, I had nothing to do. Oh, well, that's awesome. You had nothing to do, huh? That's amazing. Okay. So what did you do in the room anyway? And then they say, well, I was not necessary in that room. Oh, well, that's an awesome insight. Okay. But now we are paying you for your attendance, so you could have worked by yourself, right? Oh, and that's a really harsh recognition for managers, right? That in agile organization, the role is diminished, okay? And during that time where they're there anyway, they could deliver value by themselves instead of controlling people by pushing people around needlessly and senselessly, right? So these three simulations, they really tell the people about the value of an agile style of working, right? And it helps senior managers to join the crowd and to get over their own hurdles and perceptions, right, which they've built out over such a long career, where they still believe in the hierarchical modes. And believe me, hierarchies is still the norm. So agile organizations are still the exception when I work, especially with very big companies. All right. Ever played a boss worker game, Robert?
I have a question.
Please.
Like, I was just trying to imagine that, okay, I'm playing these games, but real mind shift, like real changing of the mindset requires much more. I'm thinking that it requires much more time of work than just playing a game. Yeah, don't you think so?
Well, of course, you know, this is a simulation, you know, and if you're playing with your Lego kitchen, right, and you're setting up a family in the Lego style, and you're cooking to your family over there, right? You know, kids can do that for the whole afternoon, but of course, it's totally say, well, you need way more skills to do it at large when you do it in a real kitchen for real people, right? When you have a family party with say 10 people and so on, of course you have to buy the groceries, you have to make up your mind on the recipes, you know how to cook, you know how to freeze, to cut, whatever, you know you have to know your utensils in the kitchen and so on. So it takes years to come from a game to the real thing, right? But in the game we can learn it scaled down, and in real life we do it scaled up, right? And I would think that and when we do say, when we say we do an agile work over, say 1 year, right? I might play, say, between 10 and 20 games over that period of time, right? With different groups, with 5 people, with 50 people, with 100 people. The more people in the room, the more fun it is, right? And from my experience, people are really looking forward. Oh, are we going to play a game the next time, Jens? It's always so awesome, right? We always have new insights on that one. You know, it's a mixture of entertainment, of having fun, of group work, you know. But of course, it doesn't replace the actual work on becoming agile.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to yeah, to get your confirmation that the game is a start of moving.
Yeah. All right. So that was my contribution here, and we made it in time. Huh? So in about 25 to 30 minutes. If any one of you would have a new game for me to contribute, to share, I'm always looking for new ideas. Has anyone a new idea on a game, an agile game, which influences the behavior of especially senior managers? No? Okay. Well, then take this as an inspiration. I hope that you liked it, right? That you can incorporate it. And I just can offer you, just try it out. Yeah? Look up the sources I've included for YouTube. And when you say, well, this is really inspiring, try it out with your team, and you're going to see how easy it is and how easily you can create fun on your way to becoming an agile organization.